Well, we're revisiting a subject that we covered a while back, and that's using Insecure CA glue in these little squeezy bottles. We were getting these squeezy bottles off of Wish.com until that turned into just a bunch of people selling junk out of China and stealing your money. These we just get off of Amazon now, because it seems like everything that you used to be able to get off Wish and so on, you can now just get on Amazon. They don't cost very much, which is good because you end up throwing them away rather rapidly. I don't put very much glue in here because it seems like it either interacts with the air in the bottle or the bottle itself, but the glue will dry out fairly rapidly. You might be able to have it in there for a month or so, and then it just becomes useless. One of the bottles has the thin CA in it, and then the other one has the kicker in it, because it's also a great way to put kicker on the joint. I'm using this to put the wood on the coaling tower that I've been working on for the engine shop area. And a lot of the heavier joints, like these large beams here, are actually glued in place with white glue, a little daub of white glue, but then once you get the white glue exactly the way you want it, I'll pull that joint back apart and put little teeny droplets of the medium thick CA right in the middle of that, because the CA and the white glue get along just fine. And that way the CA rapidly tacks everything in place, and then the white glue really forms an excellent bond. When I'm using the thin CA, a lot of times it'll leave a shiny area around the glue joint because it just wants to capillate and run all over the place. A lot of what you're seeing here, though, is the oil, the Watco Danish wood oil that I use for staining everything. No matter, because the thing I do at the very end is I come through here and put dry brushing of weather and that sort of thing. So it covers up any of these problems when I dry brush weathering on here. These Rio Grande coaling towers have the most sketchy walkways. They're just a couple of planks laid down. Sometimes there's a handrail to grab onto and a hand grab, and sometimes not. Good grief. But anyway, that was how they crawled around on top of this coaling tower. But then there's a series of ladders that interconnect these walkways all the way up to the top of the tower. When we do a show on, another one of the shows on building the tower, we'll cover building the ladders and that sort of thing. What I want to talk about today is gluing the ladders in place. Because the tricky thing here is the ladders are back behind the cabling system and these other beams. And getting to the glue joint is really difficult, and getting the ladder in place is really difficult. You have to sort of fish it up in there. And so trying to have glue already on the ladder when it's going to take 5 minutes to position the ladder exactly where you want it just isn't really an option. So what I'm going to do is place the ladders in place as carefully as I can, and once I get them exactly where they belong, I'm going to come in with the thin CA glue and just put a little daub of the thin glue, because the joints are really good. It's just that it's so difficult to get the ladder in place. So it involves fishing the glue bottle back in here and putting a little droplet of glue right on the glue joint and then letting it capillate up under the foot of the ladder. The ladders themselves are actually constructed using the medium thick CA. This works great for this sort of thing. It's fairly easy to control straight out of the bottle. You can just put a little daub where you want the glue joint and then position your part, and you might even hit it with a little tiny spritz of kicker, and there it is. You have finished ladders. These two ladders are not going to be glued in place. When the building's in place, I'll just lean them up against the building because I want to have the building removable, and having the ladder glued to the building would just be inconvenient. So I'll just have them leaning up there. But there are 3 ladders that are built right into the building, and they're back behind the cabling system and back behind a lot of the beams. And they're just tricky to get in place, fairly tricky to measure and figure out exactly how they need to go in here. But I've got them designed in such a way that they really have good joints. They contact the wood exactly the way they should. But it takes me several minutes to fish it up in there and get it in place. And so what I want to do is have it in place and then come in with a little tiny daub of glue and glue them in place. So what I'm going to do for the upper glue joints is put some of the medium thick CA on a plate and then go in with a toothpick and carefully bring a little tiny droplet of the thicker glue up and put that on that joint. But the lower joints, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the thin cyanoacrylate and then put that in one of these little squeezy bottles, and then I can fish back in there with the point of the bottle and try to get the glue right on the glue joint. Now it wants to run all over the place, but it will capillate up into the glue joint, and that's the key, because as long as there's good wood-to-wood contact here, that'll create a very strong joint. And the fact that the glue's gone all over the place, it'll spread out into a very thin coating, which, while it creates a shiny area, like I say, I will come back when I'm doing the weathering and paint over the top of the spilled glue where it's gotten out where I didn't really want it. But it creates a very, very strong glue joint, and it sets up very rapidly. In some cases, I want to come in and add the kicker, and that will set it up instantly. And so I've got kicker in another bottle. I just have to be careful I don't mix up the glue bottle with the kicker bottle. But I can also come in with a little drop of kicker and put that right on the glue joint with one of these bottles. And then I come in with a dark craft acrylic and put that wherever there's glue or wherever the stain hasn't stained the wood. My weathering process is I start with a dark color and I just get kind of a dark base over the areas where I want to apply my dry brushing, and then I come in with selectively lighter colors and dry brush those over the top of the darker color. And I do that in a whole bunch of places across the entire building, and I like the effect. It gives a really nice weathered effect to everything. So I'll be doing that really over the entire building in different places. So I needed to get these ladders in place before I could do the cross bracing. It's hard enough to get to the ladders as it is back behind the cabling. There's no way I'd be able to do that once the cross braces are in place. So now that the ladders are properly glued in place and the base color is on there, I can go ahead and glue my cross braces in place. Anyway, there it is. Just wanted to revisit a technique we talked about quite a while back of putting CA glue in these little squeezy bottles. Hopefully this was informative, and if so, please hit the like button. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe by clicking on the upcoming blue button. Zoink! Right there, the blue button. Well, we're not sure how you found this video on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And Karen and I will see you here on Sunday. We'll see ya. Bye-bye.